All right, we're starting the Magic Secret Show. I think this is the 39th episode, and I'm three-time Magic World Champion Mike Long. I've accomplished some other stuff in Magic. I have my own Magic card, Root Water Thief, and stuff like that. And I'm on here with Smitty, who is a remarkable sort of Renaissance Magic player. He's so great at so many things about Magic, especially the number one thing about it that we love on this Magic Secret Show. There's lots of strategy on here and winning, of course. Talk about a lot of winning decks today, but it's also about friendship. And Smitty's great at friendship. He's an awesome friend. He's the person that when David Mills and I started our game store, The End, in Charlottesville, Virginia, all the way back in 1998 when we were at the tail end of our Magic Pro career, dominating Magic. When we opened the store, Smitty was our kind of the manager of the store and sort of the leader of the store in so many different ways. And that extended all the way to Japan and so forth. And he's a remarkable, terrific player, very, very much a top level player. He's been top 100 or so in Arena in the last few months here and there. But irregardless, it's not this is not about uh, you trouncing everybody. The show you may get a Pro Tour winning concept here, but that's not exactly necessarily the purpose here. This is more of a friendship and philosophy show, and we'll get into more. So I, I need to evaluate something for about 30 seconds. So let me do this. Let me set things up. We actually have a new deck, and I want to get into debuting it. We also have a blog post from Dan Burdick that Bryn facilitated on the Magic Secrets blog. Dan is a legend. We'll get into introducing Dan. Bryn is the editor of the Magic Secrets blog. Lawrence is sort of the curator or archivist for lawofimplication.com, which is very important in this whole realm of things. They're also fantastic Magic players themselves in their own right. Bryn last month was top 33 in the world on Arena at some point this month in top 300. So it's very, very good. Likewise, Lawrence is fantastic, a mythic level player and all that type of stuff. But anyways, we have this great show prepared for you today, and we're debuting a deck that I just I created very, very recently, but it's based on certain evolutions and stuff. And weirdly enough, we don't normally start this way today, but it's a little bit of a different show. We're also really unpacking Magic secrets this month. Actually started last week. The whole reason I'm doing kind of a little bit more with the introductions is that we really have been getting more and more people watching the show, and it's reminding me to make things a little bit more oriented and a little bit more podcast friendly, which of course we intend to do all the way. And of course, we'll get to doing fully more and more. But right now, I thought introducing a little bit more of it would be kind of the appropriate level for where we're at and would hold up well over time. And then we'll get to better stuff later. So what I want to do is I actually want to have Bryn and Smitty and Lawrence help debut this new deck. It's I guess Valley Shuffle. I guess that's based on Valley Mike Caller. They have their own tech as well that they'll be debuting. Normally, I would normally debut my own tech, but just for constraint reasons and for stuff that we have going on, it's just going to help them for them to do that for a few minutes here at the top of the show, and then I'll be back in a minute to help them along with things. So we'll start with some gameplay of a new swift-moving blue-green aggressive deck. It focuses on Drunith and the new Q charm from the new deck Strixhaven, the Quandrix charm, which is really, really remarkable. Rather than sharing my screen, I'm going to have Bryn share his. So let me make Bryn the presenter. And then Bryn can show you the deck briefly and then take it away. And Bryn has great familiarity with this type of archetype very, very well. I did it in a clever way, a few different clever ways, and you guys can even play a game. And then I will be right back. And of course, these guys will have much more to show. We have a lot to cover on the show today. There's a whole nother deck in Dan Burdick's blog post. Dan's a legend, one of the top developers at WotC, really helped change the culture there. The inventor of 5-color green and so many beloved, brilliant decks in Magic history, and once again a great community builder. Such a credit to us here. So let me turn things over to the guys for now, and I'll be right back.
Nice. Smitty, your first impressions of this deck?
It's pretty sexy. You know, I like it when your 3 mana cards are 4/4s that also do very useful things without getting in the way.
Yeah.
And you know, reach is great. Reach, like as we'll see with Double Strike, when we talk about some cards later, like Practice Offense, is very underrated. You kind of gloss over it at first, but right now it's super relevant because Slick Shot's everywhere. Riddler, even if you need to block, is everywhere. But mostly Slick Shot. If you can't beat Slick Shot, you might as well just not play. So.
Well, I agree. What a statement. I agree.
Yeah, Quandrix Charm is our new darling. It was a card that I might have found like right off the bat because I played the shit out of it at the pre-release. I had it in both I played 2 pre-releases in one day, and I had it in both of my decks. Even though one was supposed to be black-green, it ended up being black-green-blue. One day we'll go back and look more at Applied Geometry because that's another card that is just kind of busted. And I just don't know what to do with it yet other than make roids. We'll figure it out.
Yeah. I've seen someone do some pretty crazy things with it, but we can talk about it. Yeah.
Oh, it's nuts. But so as far as this deck goes, it's a shell we're very used to. Paw Patch is another thing. Paw Patch Recruit is another thing that's better than it looks, because sometimes you get 2 dudes, and oftentimes you get free counters, and counters on Roid, and you know, using Mikey and stuff like that, just kind of snowballs.
Yeah, I can see that.
Let's see. I think there is a place in the side. Click over on the sideboard and see if it has. Okay, so it should. Okay, so this is probably an older sideboard. Okay, so we should probably have access to Innkeeper's Talent in the 75. So go ahead for me and put that in the sideboard, but we're probably just going to play a best of 1, right?
Innkeeper. We probably have it, right? Yeah, we're probably going to play best of 1 here. But we can put like basically all 4 or?
Yeah, just shove 4 in the sideboard. We'll figure it out later.
Oh.
But I just want to have it kind of as like a note.
Yeah.
That is a card we should probably have in the 75, especially against black and black-blue, because the Ward 1. If I named the right talent, does it give Ward 1?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. Yeah, that's the one. You know, it's super obnoxious to the black decks, even though it's only quote 1 mana. It slows them down a ton. You know, now their Hex is 2, their Triumph is 3. Their Shoot the Sheriff should never be in the deck anyway, but it shows up in those decks. And now that costs 3/2, et cetera, et cetera. All right, I'll shut up, and if you want to, hop in the queue.
Yeah, you want to play a game? Let's see. Want to play ranked, unranked?
Play ranked. Why not? I don't know if you're on Mike's account or.
Yes.
Okay.
No, on your account. Yeah.
I also don't care. I don't think either of us really care that much about ranking. I think we're probably in Diamond somewhere.
I believe so, yeah, currently.
Yeah. I've got my fingers in very, 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 very many deck pies right now, so it's, I'm definitely not sweating whether I'm Diamond 3 or 1 or Mythic or whatever. All right, so, yeah.
Looks like a keeper.
God bless. I mean, here's hoping that elf lives.
Right. Although we have a bunch of 1-drops, but yeah, of course yeah.
Now you can play Quest Caller or you can play Elf. It's up to you. It's probably almost always better to play Elf, but
Yeah.
Quest Caller will do his Quest Caller thing, and it is nice that we have 2 plot patches, so we'll get a chance to potentially get a little rowdy with that. All right, here, I guess I would probably play Quest Caller into Paw Patch rather than just play Mikey.
Right. The mic caller, right? And then into Paw Patch.
Yeah. Sorry, not Quest Caller. Mike Caller. My bad. All right, kids, what you got for this? We got offense, and we're probably going to be facing a Dell and an Unholy Annex. Is that? Yeah, that's just a forest, right? Betrayal.
Yes.
I'd probably let the Paw Patch go.
Same.
Boo! I wanted to land.
Same.
Here, I would probably play Mikey.
Hmm.
That way, if we draw a land next turn,
We can play double either
Yeah.
scrap shooter or kind of
Catch
depending what you do, right?
Nice.
yeah, and those counters are going to become useful as well very shortly.
Raven Eagle. Can't say I've seen this one before.
It's a graveyard attack thing. It's not. I don't think it's super relevant otherwise, but
Sheesh.
it probably does something. Ugh, sorry, I don't know what it does though.
Okay.
I would attack with Quest Caller and Mikey, and bait them into having their Raven die. No, not Elf. Yeah, there you go.
No, the elf isn't. No.
I got you. Sorry, pardon me.
No worries. Maybe I click fast. You're like, wait. I get it.
I do that all the time. I click, attack with all, and then have to re-click.
Yeah.
They're probably okay. So they're okay. They're smart enough. I would just chill and play the Paw Patch after combat because they didn't block, right? Okay.
Probably
needs to
tap the
counter.
elf.
Sorry, I
Hmm?
didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah, or like keep the counter up is also a good idea,
Maybe
right?
keep
With
the
this.
counter up.
Yeah. I like that idea.
I think he needs to keep the counter up. I think
Yeah.
it's devastating if he.
Yeah. True. They have crucial.
Yeah, if he gets another permanent down, we were just getting kind of clogged up. It just, obviously we're tight on mana. Overall, the deck has 25 mana sources, which is a lot for a beatdown deck. Great, let him have it. That doesn't matter. What does that do for him?
Oh, they must be on some kind of reanimator.
Yeah, he's actually like not in that great a shape, I don't think, necessarily. I mean, he probably is going to win this. You're choked on mana with a deck with a lot of mana, so that's tough. That's always going to be tough, and it's an awkward hand in that way.
Yeah,
But
want to
I've
give
been
him a
running
second
people-
one?
I've been running people down all day.
Catcher
With this
Morph
thing.
is not a particularly big threat to
Yeah,
us.
so you can let that resolve. I don't see why that matters either.
For exile, maybe.
Okay.
Ooh. When this creature enters, target opponent reveals their hand to exile. Okay.
If that is coming into play, no. Say no.
Yeah.
I've never seen that card before. Good for them. They showed me a
Same.
new card.
Do they attack this for two? Interesting.
Clue tokens. Okay.
Yeah, he's going to try and get to his Catcher Morph, but it's so slow with just the Eagle. Do you have Keen-Eye? You don't have Keen-Eye in this deck, do you?
You know, curate? Of course I do. Yeah, it's forward. Oh. I think you have to play both of them. Just do it. Play him.
The Mockingbird
as-
for the elf and then the Paw Patch, right?
Not, for an elf, you think? Oh, because you want to expand your mana. That makes sense. I don't know. I'd run him down.
I
would
would Mockingbird. If I was going to cast anything here, I'd Mockingbird and Elf and play a Paw Patch.
really.
What would you do, Mike?
I mean, I don't know, like Mockingbird the Might Caller and then play the Paw Patch.
Not unreasonable.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't know.
we're kind of blue choked, so that's reasonable.
Yeah, let's do it that way.
Okay.
I mean, this is a hard game. Like when it's hard, I know, but you still play to win. Does that make sense?
I mean, we got
He's
threats.
in a lot of trouble now. Like, look how big we are. Oh, that was definitely the right call. Look how big. Like, and if you remove
Out of
something,
nowhere.
Don't cast cover up. Don't cast cover up.
yeah, just don't wrath, and we probably win. Target opponent reveals their hand. Okay, you can have one of our cards. The rest of them kill you anyways. Like, I mean, remember, we can still betrayal. Oh man. I'm not kidding. Lose the elf.
Bye, Paw Patch. We'll miss you.
Bye.
Okay.
No. Elf. Lose the elf. Right? Or you want to lose the Paw Patch?
Yeah, you want to lose
I
the
know.
Paw Patch, dude. You don't have any mana. You need to keep Charm
Why do we
up
need
for that.
mana? Can't we just kill him next turn? Don't we just fire up we just use the mana from the
Oh,
From
to fire
the-
up this? Okay.
yeah, you're just gonna use that and attack and kill him. He's just dead. I think. Isn't
Okay.
he? Maybe I'm
Okay.
wrong. If I'm wrong, I'm
I
sorry.
believe
I'm really
in
sorry
you.
if I'm wrong.
I believe in you, sir.
Same.
I don't know. I mean, if I'm wrong, I'm sorry. I don't know what he's gonna do though. Does he gain a bunch of life or something?
Uh,
Block it.
Oh,
Splatter
fuck.
it. What are you doing?
He's
Yeah.
That's not on me. Oh,
That's on me.
okay. I guess if we'd had one more mana, it would have been better. So Smitty was right. So just cast that because it's way more damage than the mutagen token. So just
Right.
cast and just attack. He's dead. He's dead. It doesn't matter. Don't worry. But he would have been way worse off if you had blocked, obviously. So yeah, now it gets really ugly. Just kill him, right? I mean, isn't he just dead? Yeah, attack with everything. I'll attack.
Yeah, there
I'm
we
sure
go.
he's dead. Yeah.
It doesn't matter how much mana you have when they're dead.
Yeah.
Sick.
Kablooey.
Sick.
Boom. Nice. I thought we were screwed. I thought we were screwed that game.
Sick.
I'm
Great.
glad they didn't cast cover up. Cover up would have been ugly.
Yeah, for sure. The deck has it has about the same amount against Deadly Cover Up or any other board wipe as even Atlanta Shuffle because it's like I mean it's got 4 counters, and then you've got some good disruption from your let's pull up the deck. We'll see.
Yeah. So Mike, we were talking about Innkeeper's Talent.
I know. I heard you. I was here the whole time.
Oh, okay, cool. Sorry, I didn't.
So
it's
so,
pretty
yeah.
dope in matchups where they have lots of targeted removal. Obviously, duh.
Lots of target removal. It's gonna be good. Okay, great. Yeah, I have different theories on where to take it. I was talking to you guys before. We may even just become Atlanta Shuffle for the decks that Atlanta Shuffle is egregious against. I don't know. I would just have to like it's so early, but that's brilliant, and I'm sure that like when my rule of thumb on Smitty since I met him is if Smitty says something, try it. You're probably gonna be happy. And I've actually even when Smitty was an early teen, you told me about Brown Oofy, and it really became nicely important in me winning a couple Pro Tour
The
qualifiers.
goofiest card ever, but it was
Great.
Serrated
I
Arrow.
remember watching people saying like, "What is this card?"
Serrated Arrows and Nevin Ural's disc.
he would eat. He would literally eat 2 serrated arrow tokens, and I'd be like, "Yes." That's all you needed. This is all you needed. Okay. Anyways, it's a different card, different time. I don't want to overly break off. So I was saying at the top of things. David Mills and I wrote this guide, Magic Secrets, that we published as an ebook, kind of for sale, all the way back in 2003, and we painstakingly wrote it. David wrote these kind of seed content for each chapter, and then he asked me to expand on that content with examples. And it was his idea how to organize the book and how to build the book, and people really loved it. And it was so successful. We had hundreds of people give us these annihilation reports from their successes and their enjoyment of things with our kind of nifty top secret decks that we'd share with them, and with the rules that they would learn, with the metagame rules and the strategy rules that they would learn from Magic Secrets, that we were just flooded with these annihilation reports. We had a 24-hour hotline that people would call up and tell us about how they won tournaments. Dave Sharkman, who is one of our members, became a Pro Tour champion, won $40,000 in one tournament, so we were very, very proud of him. He was a member sending in annihilation reports week after week, and so on. So for my to kind of help wrap up my monologue section, because the way this show is structured for somebody who's new, it's a great show. We love it. It helps anchor the Magic Secrets community and help expand law of implication, which is David Mills' philosophy system that's extremely valuable. I think it'll become beloved for you over time, and maybe even right away, maybe even today. Last week we started sort of a revival of Magic Secrets, and we want to appreciate Lawrence. Lawrence is really the one who led the charge with that. The idea was out there for us to update the Magic Secrets guide, because those examples I did all the way back in 2003 are not, of course, the same. The cards, it's been whatever it is, 25 years or 22 years since we originally wrote it. So Lawrence and Bryn were working really hard on compiling. They had a hard copy of the original, and they were trying to figure out, how to help with making it, more available to themselves and to you, to members of our beloved community. So yeah, so that helped us lead to kind of a revival event. First, what we did was we got very, very good at Magic again. Probably roughly speaking, pro level, and which for us is very, very high. I'm certainly not in that obsessive peak form that I was in when I was ranked number one in the world at some point, and winning the world championships and so on. But I'm very still very, very good. What I do is I'm really, really enjoy my life, and you get to enjoy it too. And I work a lot on decks. The guys like it and appreciate it. They win a lot with them, but also help uphold this kind of culture that we have in this community. It's really built to help build heroes, right? We think that you're heroes, and it's helped to build friendship as well. So anyways, with Magic Secrets, the first part, and I decided to do things in chunks, and especially the whole series, as we do it, really is going to be about shortcuts, which is what the first chapter was about that David marked out. I'm not going to reread David's introduction. It would be a little bit for the umpteenth time for the team. But what he basically said is that the person with the best shortcuts and a smidgen of luck is really likely to be the winner, right? And what I wanted to do was, instead of jumping into the second chapter, we did give some good examples. I believe I covered some of my mulligans from Pro Tour Paris when I was making dramatic mulligans based on shortcuts, right? Mulligans that were making all the other pros guess.
Hilarious.
Well, and what's fascinating is if you have a room packed with pros and it's so loud, they're so shocked at David's rule. It was just simply David's rule. They should have been like, oh, it's David's rule, right? I mean, like, one way of looking at it is they shouldn't have been shocked. They should have known, right?
Squandered impulse or mulligan, right?
What's that?
It was squandered impulse or mulligan.
Yeah, if you're okay. So the scenario is, and this could be nice. A lot of people know my cadaverous bloom deck, or people call it prosperous bloom. I don't think that's a good name for it, but you're picking like the cards that really matter almost the least. Like Squandered Resource is the one that mattered the most. So anyways, if David came to me the night before the tournament and he said, and the mulligan rule was very new. Previously, it had been either all lands or no lands. If you had all lands, you could mulligan. If you had no lands, you could mulligan and redraw a fresh 7 cards. That was it one time. That was it. The new rule was that any hand that you didn't like, you could throw back and redraw 6 cards, not 7 like it is now, and then choose one. Anyways, that's the change. We used it very aggressively in Pro Tour Los Angeles, the previous one, much more than other people. I'll tell you that. I know that we did. Won a lot more games. We mulliganed a lot more than other people did. Won a lot by doing it. And David had rules for us then. Right before Portrait Paris, he came to me and said, if you don't draw either a squandered resource or a vampiric tutor, which can go and get squandered resource, or an impulse, and of course the mana to cast thereof, right? If you don't draw one of those three cards, so if you don't essentially draw, because impulse, the reasoning was that impulse, which goes 4 cards deep for 2 mana, would pretty much either get you another impulse, a vampire tutor, or of course the target card, which is squander resources. So anyways, if you didn't get squander resource, basically mulligan. Right?
It's also worth noting the sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
The mana bases back then were terrible compared to what we play with now.
Oh, well, it fluxes. It fluxes. I mean, there have been times in Standard, even recently, where it was so restrictive. I mean, before Starting Town came out, was not really that great. But yeah, fair enough. It was at a low end for mana base, for sure. So anyways, yeah. So I gave an example where I not just mulliganed, and that was shocking. It was so shocking that I was rooms away from everybody else, sequestered from the room where everyone else was watching, like the closed circuit feed, of the finals. It was me against Mark Justice, so everybody was watching. Me and Justice were in the top 8. Anyways, it's very, very popular. And you have around 300 Magic pros, and you could hear the first time I mulligan people, because I have land and spells. Normally, you just keep that, and people just couldn't believe it. And I was playing against Darwin Castle. Darwin killer. That guy was so freaking good at Magic. And he had beaten David in the Swiss. I was up 2-0 on him, but I knew he could come back and win. Guys, I promise you could. And I mean, this is probably when he realized it. I mean, I could see it in his eyes. Anyways, so then I mulliganed again, and it was like an earthquake. I mean, the people gasped so loud, and I had to laugh. And then I drew 5 cards and killed Darwin on turn 3. Every pro just couldn't believe it. I want to harp what I'm doing today. The first episode of this Magic Secrets revival event that we're doing. It's going to, span out weeks as we do it. Was to introduce the revival itself and to talk about the first most important idea of Magic Secrets, which is shortcuts itself, from David. And Magic Secrets is organized around shortcuts, right? The second event that we're doing today, of course, we're going to continue with what we always do on Magic Secrets. Play some Magic, play some other games, maybe here and there. Enjoy friendship, discuss new ideas, new trends. Sometimes discuss car prices and other various ideas. Last week we discussed the possible bannings. We were right; there were no bannings for Standard, which we predicted. Roughly speaking. Of course, we looked it over and we were ready. But anyways, and I've been looking at car prices. A lot of the cards that we recommend really have done well. Magical, boy, we were right about that one. But anyways, for this episode, what I wanted to particularly do, and from here I'll kind of turn the rest of the episode over to Smitty as long as we have him for, and then all of it take back over from there. Is introduce the idea of especially taking on that there are places in your life that you are not doing shortcuts as much as you could, and you're not necessarily valuing the culture surrounding shortcuts as much as you could. I know if you're on, you got to be in the top. Like anybody watching this, I can't imagine, at least this far into a show like this, you've got to be in the top 90% of thinkers when it comes to this type of thing. Yeah, I'm sure you apply some shortcuts in your life if you're watching this show at this time. I could be wrong, but I just almost can't imagine that somebody wouldn't be at least have shortcuts in their life that they've used, that they've applied, that they admire, right, and that they take advantage of. Okay. But David and I really live a life of shortcuts and organized around shortcuts, and it's really effective, and I want that effectiveness for you. And so today's episode and even the next few weeks are especially designed before I even move to chapter 2. This is just all still in chapter 1, which is about shortcuts. What I want to do is particularly harp on the concept of shortcuts and just take on, hey, there are places in my own decision making and in my own culture that could be more shortcut oriented, and be curious about how I can do that. And I'm doing the same thing. I'm thinking about shortcuts for you. I'm thinking about how to really set magic secrets up for you and have it be effective and enjoyable and interesting and engaging and successful, right? Like in the ways that you want it to be successful. And a great part of your law of implication experience, right? Ultimately, we want you to understand law of implication, this terrific methodology for understanding philosophy. But you know what? Magic Secrets is such a great way of learning philosophy from David Mills that I don't hardly even have to say. I do like to say it now because it'll hearten you in your process. Because what you're probably going to do is think, "Wow, I want more of this." So that's awesome. So Smitty, I'll leave that as my part for now. I'll let you and Bryn.
Yeah, I've got a couple of shortcuts to talk about.
Yeah, I know you do. Yeah, exactly. I really actually just very much care to hear about this, and I care to hear about the blog post with Dan, although I can help cover the blog post with Dan depending on your time. Okay, Smitty, I'm going to let Smitty take things away for this. And we typically in our show kind of have a segment that Smitty and Brennan Lawrence somewhat man. And then because we just have so much going on with our group, and I really, really want to get all of it across, right, as much as we can in a really great form.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm short on time today, but that's okay. We'll take a shortcut. So there was a guy named Dominic Krapachetz right after Mike won Pro Tour Paris, who was part of our team, and he, especially concerning draft or limited formats, where you pass the packs around in a circle and you pick one card at a time and you build a 40-card deck instead of a 60-card deck. It's called draft or limited or sealed deck. Those three all are basically have the same deck building rules. It's just how you acquire the cards. Like if you go to a pre-release, you pop open a bunch of packs and you build a 40-card deck, right? If you go to a draft, you open 3 packs one at a time, pass them around in a circle of 8 people. There's an old format called Rochester Draft. I don't even know if they do that anymore, where you spread the whole pack across the table and everybody can see all the cards and you pick in order that way. But the long and the short of it was Dom's mana counting shortcut. It was so simple. You just counted the mana symbols of the cards in the deck you were going to play and came up with a percentage. Like, let's say you were playing black and green, and you had, of all the cards, you didn't count the individual cards. You counted the mana symbols on the cards. So if all the cards you had 24 black mana symbols and 16 green mana symbols, then you would have a 60-40 deck, right? And you always need to play in limited, I'd say 1 more land. So in that example, you'd probably play 10 swamps and 7 forests. And it was so simple. Like, duh, obviously, why didn't we think about that before? But people were building their mana bases very poorly, in limited especially. And Dom was just like, how about we just do this? And this was before we had computers. And I mean, computers existed, but like there were no algorithms or AI or anything. We're talking like 1998. And he went on to lose to Finkel, John Finkel, probably the most famous Magic player of all time. Finkel, Mike, Booty, I don't know. But those 3 are probably like the 3 most famous from the old school for sure. And he lost to Finkel in the finals of the Pro Tour. Finkel had Grave Pact and Tradewind Rider. He had like 2 really, really, really good limited bombs, which oftentimes your limited decks are built around your very best card because it will be if you draw it, you win kind of thing. But you usually only get access to a few of those. In this case, whatever Dom did a great job. He drafted the blue green deck, I think, that we were drafting at the time, which is all about Time Ebb, which was a David discovery for sure. People definitely weren't playing Time Ebb. If you can pull that card up, Bren, Timeebb. I don't know if it'll be on Arena or not, but maybe it is. It's a 3-mana sorcery from go to Timeless or something. It's okay. It's not a big deal. It's 1 blue and 2. Put target permanent on top of its owner's library. So super simple. Later on, some more cards came along, like Plow Under. I forget what the other card was. It was similar to Plow Under, but Plow Under was 2 green and 3, and you put 2 of your opponent's lands on top of their library. So like you mana choke them and make their next 2 draws suck. Relatively so. So that was like Dom's. Like he was a brilliant guy regardless, but he won $20,000 in that tournament, I think, maybe more.
Nice.
But finishing second in the Pro Tour. And then there was another shortcut that I wanted to talk about was I was playing in the last round of a Pro Tour qualifier against a guy named Stephen Cowley, who was obnoxious but a really smart dude, and very good at playing the magical cards. And so he took a shortcut that paid off for him here. So his last round, we weren't able to draw in for whatever reason. I don't recall why. Maybe he didn't want to, or maybe it meant. I think it came down to if we drew. We'd have to like cross fingers and hope, because like one of us would make it and the other wouldn't. So we just played, and game 3, I'm just like smashing his skull in. He's on a blue green creature control deck they called Control, and I'm on red. Right before I switched to the awesome deck that Mike and I built. We'll talk about some more later. And I play a card called Keldon Champion. 4 mana, 3/2, haste. Steve's at 1 life. Sorry, he's at 4 life, because when Champion comes in, it does 3 to him. And we've been going back and forth, and it's like he's at 4. And I'm like, all right, game over. He doesn't have rewind. He doesn't have enough mana for rewind, which was the counter at the time. And Champion comes in, does 3 to him, and he's still thinking. He's not scooping up his cards. And I'm like, what the fuck could he have here? And then Simeon Grunts comes into play. A 3 mana, 3/4 flash creature that can now block my hasty 3/2. It's generally a bad card, but he had taken the shortcut of looking to Kyle Rose to build his sideboard like 15 minutes before the tournament, and Kyle was the shortcut himself. He's like, oh, you need this guy, and it was a 1/of in his sideboard. And so the shortcut here really is just listen to smart people. Sorry, that was a long way of getting to it. And maybe I was just being nostalgic because I wanted to be sad about losing that. So he blocked, and from 1 life, he came back and beat me and made the finals, and he actually won the tournament. He made the top 8, and then he won the tournament to qualify. So shout out to Steve Calley, you smart little fucker, you. But the shortcut he used there was like he knew other people were better at things like building sideboards. And Kyle was an all-time genius, like in Magic. I think he won one Pro Tour, but generally flew under the radar. Just this mountain-sized man, 6'3", tree fitty, from bumfuck Virginia, suburb of Richmond. But he trained so many players that went on to great success, not just in Magic, but especially in poker as well, like the Brock Parkers of the world, and I don't know if he worked with Bonomo or not, but like he definitely worked a ton with Parker and William Jensen, or whom they would call Baby Huey, who's one of the best drafters of all time. And back then there were teams, right? And Tongo Nation was David, Mike, Pete, Donnie, Dom, etc., right? But they were always very adjacent to the Richmond guys, and they would trade info. Whereas like CMU, which was the fancy university in Pennsylvania, I can't remember what it's called. Carnegie Mellon. They were much more secretive, and then the guys in Boston who were also very good, Darwin Castle, David Price, etc. Those guys, they were also pretty damn secretive. But we would trade info in between us and the Richmond guys, and I was like a teenager, so I was like a minor, I guess, influence on. I was the 8th seat in the draft rather than just have nobody there. Yeah, Derek Rank, those guys, they all had tremendous success in the game. And I guess that's all I have to say about that. If you feel motivated to, got a few more minutes, you can pull up
Yeah.
Dan's deck if you want, or like whatever you feel like,
Sure.
whatever you want to look at.
I mean, for sure, I like these shortcuts that you just mentioned, like listen to smart people, and then for very specific things, I think it's smart. Yeah, same with deck building. I'm like, okay, whichever deck Mike, Speedy, and then are building, it's like, okay, that's what I'm playing. So
Yeah,
it's my shortcut.
I guess pull up the one just named Dinah. Yeah,
Yeah.
or you can pull up the Laughing Heart. Either one, both are great. All
Laughing
right.
Heart is your version, right?
Yeah, no. The Laughing Heart has a problem right now. It doesn't have Ashling, I think. So
Okay.
we won't embarrass ourselves and show that one.
So can you walk me through how we generally win, and then what are we trying to do on like starting hand and like turn 1, turn 2 type of thing?
What's more fun than that is just fire up a game and we'll play.
Oh, you want to play? Well, let's go.
Yeah. I mean, I could go through all that, but it's like just much more fun to play a game.
Let's go. Play a ranked game with, where is it? Dinah?
Yeah. So the premise of the deck is skip all the BS and just go straight to what you really want to do. All the fluff of Reanimator, like Dredger's Insight, which I love, Balemerk, etc. Skip all that and go straight to, here's a monster. Good luck. And do it as quickly as possible. Okay, that's a mulligan. Oof. All right. Yeah, we can play this bury a pollinator. It's not a great hand, but it's better than going to 5.
Okay.
So we have 2 Ashlings. All right, so Springleaf.
Yeah, here he's with the red mana.
Yeah, you're done, and then you'll use Pollinator and Ashling. Hopefully, you'll draw something good here.
A hex.
I don't know what that card is, but
It says at the beginning of each player's first main phase, that player may put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. If they do, they add a colorless for each counter on it.
I mean, I assume since they're playing it, we should probably kill it. So let's go Passage for Swamp.
Okay, so decline this action for an extra colorless.
Yeah, decline. Yeah.
Passage for swamp. Pay 2 life.
Hex that guy.
Hex that guy.
Yep. Pollinator. Yeah, pollinator. Be done. Yeah, this is a bad draw. But whatever. Let's see. How much time do we have? This is my account. Go ahead and scoop it up and let's try and get one more in.
Cool.
Sorry, that was a terrible game.
No worries. Yeah, I saw the starting hand where it's like we have a bunch of mana, but not really something to do with it.
Yeah, it's very suboptimal. Because this deck is definitely about having something to do.
Yeah.
And it being very powerful. And Ashling is a great enabler for that.
Okay.
I'm not sure that we want to play 4 of them, but whatever. Some number is good. All right, this is much better. All right, so elf, you know how to play an elf.
Yeah.
Marsh elf.
Yep.
Oh, sorry, we're waiting on our opponent.
Yeah.
And so you look over here at Esper Origins. It's a very popular card. It's a goofy card though, but it is very popular. So here we're gonna get to Surveil 2, and then we can probably bring it back relatively quickly after we play our elf.
Yeah.
And it gives us a nice mana boost as well. And then it also does like a little mini crater hoof before it goes off to meet its Jesus.
+2/+2 and gain trample. Yeah. Other creature you control. That's great.
And I don't know. Oh man, I haven't seen that guy in a while. Starting Town, Origins. Go.
Yeah, then we can probably
Yeah. Oh, it's pretty sexy though. Next turn we can play Gods, discard the Arden to pay the ward cost, and both those are going into the Grumper. Graveyard.
Yeah.
We can pay the ward cost for Saboteur, I think, right? It's discard a card. I think the ward cost is discard a card on that thing.
Yes.
Awesome.
So we discard Arden, right?
Yeah. But next turn we'll play Awaken the Gods. Yeah.
Sacrifices a creature of their choice, probably the tapped one, or no?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what that card is, so do whatever you think. I can't read it from here. They get a bird or some shit? All right, cool.
Yeah, they get this bugger. Whenever you cast a non-token creature spell, it deals 1 damage, okay?
Yeah, so they're just toast now. Go ahead and kill their Saboteur.
Okay, let's see.
So, yeah, Starting Town.
Yeah, Starting Town, Awaken the Undead, right?
Yep. Sorry, I always call it Awaken the Gods for some reason. I don't know why. Yeah, Awaken the Undead. Discard Arden. Oh no, we have to discard a card. It's so terrible. Yes, we are sure. And next turn we're going to reanimate Arden. If I remember how Dan has this deck built correctly. If I remember how Dan has this deck built.
Okay.
We'll be able to cast Dynas and Kavera the same turn, but I could be wrong. Okay, maybe we can't, but that's okay.
Okay,
See what we mill.
so we mill 2 Caballeros.
Okay, that sounds okay. I would have rather it been a bringer, but whatever.
Yeah.
Multiversal Passage, Origins.
Multiversal Passage for which color, and do you want to pay life?
Yes, and it's I guess blue. Whatever. It's not that important. Go ahead and make it green.
Too late. Yeah.
Whatever, it's fine. Sorry, I'm not
And
giving.
then Origins, right?
Yeah.
I think both go in the graveyard.
Yep. And then we can discard. Go ahead. We can discard Pollinator next turn to bring back Cavero. And cast him onto Arden.
Right. I like that. Hey, goodbye.
Yeah, they didn't want it anymore. Okay, yeah, they knew it was
They knew what was cooking.
knew what was happening. Okay, boys,
They
I
knew
got
Smitty was cooking.
this pain in the ass concept called work is jumping up.
Yeah,
So
great
I am
to
going
have
to
great to have you on, Smitty. We always love and appreciate you, and you do such a great job. So many decks. We'll actually jump over to the blog now and make sure that we further cover things.
have fun, go nuts. I'll look forward to watching the replay.
Absolutely. All right, tip of the cap, Smitty. Great. So let's jump onto the blog. And I have a few more things to share that are already set up. So there we go. So as we jump onto the Magic Secrets blog, which you can access by going to magicsecrets.com/blog, then right here, our most recent blog posts are first by Dan Burdick. Dan's a legend in pro Magic and was one of the most influential and successful members of Wizards design team. I think their design team, by the way, does a great job. I have a lot of criticisms of the way that organized play is done, but I think their design team is just an A team. They're doing a great job. So this is the deck that you guys were just playing right now.
Yes.
Dan also has a very aggressive deck that he has been throttling people recently with. It plays some of the same cards. It also plays the cynical loner and some of the similar concepts in this deck. Of course, the mana acceleration. One of the things that Dan really brought to things when he and Smitty and I would first we were first the ones forming things before we started the podcast or anything like that. This was a couple of years ago when we were all kind of getting back into Magic. Dan would have this real obsession. Well, Dan and I would just kind of play back and forth. How can we go faster? How can we go faster? And the Springleaf Drum and the Gene Pollinator are two cards very much in the ilk of the type of cards that Dan was picking out and spotting, saying, hey, I know this isn't like the orthodox kind of mana acceleration, right? It's not kind of a straight line mana acceleration like a Llanowar Elf where you're like, hey, boom, I'm a whole turn ahead, right? Of course, one of the constraints, one of the boundaries of Magic the Gathering is that we can only lay one land a turn typically, right? So if we can really jump ahead of that and Llanowar Up lets us do that, then that's a pretty widely recognized great card at this point. But I'd say that Gene Pollinator is just now more starting to break out, and it's been the type of card that we've been on for a while. I think that Bryn and Lawrence, you guys probably remember some of our deck builds would include the elf version. There was an elf that rotated out that was very similar to Gene Pollinator. It wasn't an artifact; it was an elf. It was a 1/1 creature, and you could tap another creature and get a mana. Anyways, irregardless of whether you guys were playing with that much, Dan and I would play it in Merfolk decks all the time, especially because then we could tap it and get and Smitty as well, get the extra Merfolk from the what's it called, the pilgrimage. There's an enchantment that whenever you tap a non-token Merfolk, you get a 1/1 Merfolk token that has Hexproof. So it's terrific, and sometimes we play with it. Anyways, so this is a new deck that Dan debuted. I wanted to especially talk about it today, although Dan's really been a wellspring recently, so I didn't want to drive past that. So this deck is primarily around the idea that you're going to get Cavero. There's a few different ways to get Cavero. You've got the Dinah's Guidance, which Bryn had one in his hand during that game. So it's kind of a tutor it's a green, a black, and a colorless. You can go search your deck and get any. I think it's any creature. I don't know if it's. I think it's just any creature. And you can either put it in your hand or put it in the graveyard. It may be any card. Actually, I don't really know, but it's any. In this deck, you pretty much get creatures. Although I feel like you might. I think it might literally be any card. Anyways, so you have a number of ways in the deck to get cards into the graveyard and really seek out specific cards to get in your graveyard. Of course, the bringer is the most popular. The bringer basically, so long as you bring it into play with Cavero. Cavero, by the way, is called Superior Spider-Man in real life. I love the artwork for it. It's really, really cool. I don't want to go digging around looking for one to show you, but it really looks great. Anyways, when it comes into play, more or less what happens is all your opponent has to sacrifice you to all of your creatures. Sacrifice, not destroy, sacrifice. So even indestructible won't save it. And then you pull the creatures out of the graveyard, put it into play. With the way the deck is built, you're typically going to have a lot more creatures that then come out and play. So you kind of wind up with this big advantage. And that's the main thing that the deck does. It has a few other ways to win, like Crater Hoof, where you can make a big swing attack all at once. But anyways, there's a whole article here from Dan. Bryn can scroll down and show it to you a bit better. Obviously, I wanted to spend some time sharing with you. There's also the sideboard here is run down, and then the Magic the Gathering arena deck list is right there if you want to copy and paste it. So that's really nice. And then this terrific format hypothesis that Dan gave us in the in our group. This is one of the reasons why we're creating the upcoming forum, is because we have this really great deep analysis from Dan and how he's using that deck. Now I built a version of the Dyna version, and there's a few of my game results below. So I didn't deeply test it, but I played several games with it, and mostly club people. And so you can see some of those deck results here. The Myojin was a real pleasure, by the way. This card here, we were all kind of agreeing it's one of the real pleasures of the deck. It's a old school card from Champions of Kamigawa. It didn't get much play then because it has a hefty mana cost. I think it's 3 black and 4 colors or something like that normally to cast it.
Yeah.
But you can bring it out in the same way. So yeah, it has some of my screen captures and some of the theory behind the deck and some of my analysis as well. And so that's really nice. The way that Bryn has put together this blog and Dan's first article. This is a Crater Hoof win here. Pretty bad beatdown. There's a few different ways to win this deck, but yeah, really nice, nicely put together. Nicely put together by Dan and by Bryn and Lawrence and everybody, the whole team. Smitty really encourages the stuff. We have a really great culture surrounding this. Okay, awesome. There are more and more blog posts on that blog. It's one of the reasons why we want to have the forum and the blog. But we're working things, progressing things one step at a time, and each step has been glorious, and really appreciate it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I want to spend some time coming back to this idea of shortcuts and looking at it a different way and say, well, how do I know what's not a shortcut? So I'll cut screen sharing kind of all together here for a second. Here, I'll kind of make myself the screen presenter. Share. Okay, great. So I'll somewhat exit with this, although I have a planned share because I have something Dota I want to share with you guys for the kind of first time I want to share cover some actual Dota content. Just really briefly, I have a 30-second play in Dota I want to show you guys, and I want to explain some of the ripple effects of it and how it works. It's a Falcons play. We really like to watch Falcons. I haven't checked today if they won, but I didn't get a text from David, so it's probably bad news. They probably didn't think. today, but it's okay. But anyways, although they may have won just by winning. So anyways, shortcuts. So how do you spot what's not a shortcut? So what's not a shortcut? So there's two things that come up a huge amount that are not shortcuts, but that feel like the right thing to do. Okay. And I want to cover them. Not in massive depth, but in enough depth to give you like some distinction, some comparisons, right? Lawrence always likes to remind us of comparisons to it. It's one of the, if Lawrence did that alone for us, then we'd be greatly appreciative of him. Of course, Lawrence says much more than that. Okay, so where does it come from? Where do our, like not okay? Where do our thoughts come? Right? Is that an unfair question? Is it too hard to answer? I don't think it's too hard to answer for me. Why am I answering? Okay, I have expertise various places, right? Magic Champion, yes, but after Magic, after David and I specifically realized that Wizards of the Coast couldn't really be trusted with our brand, and the article from Mark Rosewater, a long story where he just comes out and says, and it's right on the WotC's website, so obviously WotC hasn't disavowed it, says that WotC made up stuff about us, about me, in the WWE kind of way, of manufacturing villains. They wanted to manufacture me as a villain because they thought for ratings, to juice the company value while they're selling it to Hasbro or something like that. I don't know what the timing was or exactly what they were trying to do, what Peter was trying to do, what was going on. I don't know. I mean, that was the timing. So, who knows? But anyways, yeah. So what's shortcut? Well, what we did is David and I David mainly realized that we couldn't trust our brand with them, and we didn't want to play poker. David didn't want us to play poker. He's like, there's a different way. We got into marketing. We got into internet marketing, and we got very good at it. First, we started a game store, right? And with a game store, we built a website, and boy, we did really, really good. And people saw it, and they're like, man, how are you doing this? People started asking us more and more questions, and we got into the world of SEO, right? Of Google SEO, and how to attract visitors to your website magnetically, right? It's a big shortcut. You want to talk about a shortcut for money getting. And it is, and we've built based on that. So I'm not just saying that and throwing it away. I'm just, I'm neck deep in it. Before the episode kind of formally started, that's what we were discussing. So anyways, like in terms of these particular shortcuts and what's effective, then understanding where thoughts come from. So what David and I did was we built our own brand, and we built a brand around being able to help other people's brands, especially surrounding digital marketing and Google SEO, right, which are vitally important to internet marketing. They just are. And we learned a lot of skills that really surround internet marketing and have a lot of exposure, like a lot of exposure throughout e-commerce and throughout info marketing and throughout affiliate marketing and all kinds of things that go on, on the internet. I know all kinds of things about social media and so on, and have had tons of success in all kinds of different of these lanes and places that I've struggled, but places I struggled were mostly the ones where we didn't provide do many shortcuts. Because every once in a while you give somebody a shot. Actually, that is a shortcut, but then you don't go too much deeper in. But boy, we had a lot of successes, right? And help people have a lot of successes and very successful right now. So where do thoughts come from, and why am I the one to talk about that? Well, I'll tell you one thing, for Magic and for internet marketing, I have a fair command of like an anthropologist, right? Like Indiana Jones, I think, was an anthropologist, archaeologist, but presumably did some anthropology. He certainly had a great command of anthropology according to the movies. I mean, he acted like it, but somebody who knows anthropology. Along with archaeology. So Uh, so yeah, so I really got to understanding the internet marketing world and the people of it and the technology of it, just like with magic. I really knew the people, and I, you know, knew a lot of the top pros and worked with a lot of them and had a lot of good interactions. Mark Hernandez, one of my favorites, still to this day, a terrific guy. Wound up designing the most recent Splinter Cell, by the way. A brilliant guy, great shortcut guy. So culture of shortcuts versus the wrong culture, and what is the wrong culture, like where is it and where does it come from? So I've really studied marketing, and marketing does not have to do, you don't have a lot of wiggle room in marketing for manipulation, and it really runs dry really fast. Some people do it. It's obviously out there, gaslighting, we know about it. But for sustained results, the type that I've had, it's not really a thing. It's not really, something that you can do, like that's not available. So you have to instead meet people where they're at and then build, like, use your marketing powers, not so much to lead people into a ditch, but to build a bridge to something good, right? That's the idea of doing things kind of virtuously. And so in order to do that, which I've done very, very well, you got to kind of have a sense of where people are at, and how people got there. You get clues. What shows are they watching? Why does that matter? Telling you it matters. How does it matter? Well, I'll tell you. When people don't know what to do, which is a lot, okay? And if you think about it, if you go back in time, it happened like kind of all the time, right? At some point you didn't know, right? So when we don't know, the first kind of thing that we have is like a bag. This is very like a file folder on a computer, okay? Just imagine it's like a file folder. And it's a file folder of templated reactions of some sort. And you don't really know, especially at first. Think about how kids act, like little kids act, right? Where sometimes they just tantrum over something they even really like. I specifically remember being a child and being sure that I would never, ever want another slice of pizza, which I love pizza, like a great margarita pizza. I love a great margarita pizza. And that I eat them all the time. The other day I was cleaning out the back of the car. There were 6 boxes back there, Mr. Owen's pizza. So I love margarita pizza. But as a child, as a small child, you don't have the same type of control. So you get a little bit better glimpse with little children of the types of things that go on. It gives you like a little hint as to what's going on behind the scenes. And so little kids will pull things out, and especially they'll start seeing things from their parents or peers and start just kind of copying those things in ways that are often cute, right? but often crazy, right? Or destructive or crazy or whatever, lighting the couch on fire or who knows what, right? I don't have any experience with that specifically, but whatever, like throwing some kind of tantrum or whatever. And of course they have tantrums kind of baked in to begin with, as well as kind of emotional upheaval that they feel. And it's totally valid. I'm not saying it's not valid. It's scary. It's in the world. God designed it this way for a reason. That's fine, right? But it's going on. So what happens is we have like a file full of reactions, and people turn to these reactions and they're used to them. When you're trying to mind game somebody in magic, you want to kind of have a sense. Oh, what are some of the magic? What are some of the reactions in their magic bag? Right. That was one of the things that Smitty I think was kind of alluding to. And there are a number of times if you read about some of the mind tricks that I did, and there's some that I cover in Magic Secrets, where if you want someone to make a mistake, you got to kind of lead them to it. Like if there's a specific, like there was one time when I really needed this guy to tap, like he wouldn't think it was early in the turn that he was going to need double red for a 4, but I literally moved his land. It wasn't cheating. I just moved his land. People would move each other's land all the time in Magic. But anyways, I moved his land and he mistapped, and he just didn't have the mana to tap like later on when he realized he needed a fork, and that was that. But I just grouped things. I just grouped them conveniently. So he could, like, instead of tapping this inconvenient island over here or whatever it was, tropical island over here, here was this juicy volcanic island right there, right in front of him that he could just easily tap right away, right in front of him. He could just, easily tap his hands and then he was done. Okay, so where do these things come from? Where do these ideas that people pull out come from? One place, and you see it happen, right? It's TV, now more social media. I actually might show off some, yeah, I don't know, maybe more for OMG. I was going to show some trends and stuff like that, but I might more do that for OMG. Might make more sense. Uh, so so here's the thing: is what are people thinking? So TV shows and it can be video games, but I think it's much more TV shows. Um, and of course, it can be movies, can be books. Um, of course, it can be your family. It could be if you go to church. Of course, it's going to be involve that to some extent. Of course, it's going to involve school. It's part of why school is so detrimental. And your peers. Of course, it's going to involve your peers. Absolutely going to involve your peers. Music, definitely going to involve music. Lines from music. It will involve lines from music, right? Some songs will get you down. Some songs will get you up, and could be the wrong timing, right? I don't know. I don't listen to down music. So what'll happen is people don't know what to do in a given situation. So first of all, they design their lives in a way where they're not going to know what to do a lot. Okay, and so that not know what to do thing is going to come up a lot, and they're going to be overwhelmed with it a fair amount. So you kind of get used to it. You see, because you're not used to looking for the shortcut of not knowing what's going on all the time. Like that's one of the shortcuts that we have is not like we really try to, when we're working with people, we really try to narrow things. Like I don't have Bryn and Lawrence when they're new to Magic learning a whole bunch of decks or any decks really. Like hard, I mean, there's a few things I'm like, yeah, like this, they can destroy your whole board, like they can, whatever it's called, Day of Judgment or whatever. You need to know about that. I don't know. They have, combos that kill you in one turn. Who cares how hard? I mean, there's a few ways, but it kind of has a linchpin. But there's not too much you need to know to be a top player. Is the truth, right? Now, if you wanted to be a very number one, of course, you're gonna learn all the cards, every deck, and that's great, right? But that's not, again, this is not really a pro show. We may bring on more and more pros in the future, but for now, it's not our thing. We want to encourage play. Could you get a pro championship deck from this? Of course. I told you Brim was ranked 33 last month with a road deck, and it's only he just stopped at 33 and stopped playing because he was just busy. And me too. I get it, right? But in limited time, and with shortcuts, limited time, you can do a lot. So, anyways, people get hit. They don't know what's going to go on. They get hit like, oh, I don't know what to do, and so they turn to this folder or this bag, and the bag is populated with, especially with activated things. Okay, just so you know. So if something's meant, like mentalists know this. If people are activated on a thought or a topic, it will rise up. This is called anchoring, is another way of looking at it. They have this one where they suggest something about it's a test that they do. David and I studied all kinds of mental tests and mental studies that they've done, and know the gist of a colossal number of them. And so one of them is with anchoring, where basically if you suggest a number, if you say a number and put it down somewhere, and there's not something else overriding, people will run to a number like that. Like if you suggest, for example, a giant number and then say a small number, like if you suggest, if I say it took $17 billion to develop the iPhone, and you can have one right now for $9.99, right? It doesn't sound that bad. But if I say, I got this spoon for $1 or for 12 cents, a dollar, a penny, they gave it to me at Goodwill. It was a penny, but then they gave it to me, right? And this iPhone is only $900. right? Now the iPhone, now 900 sounds much bigger. If I really get you thinking and engaged in this being one penny, right? And then this is 900, right? Or even 800. It just sounds like a lot. Whereas if I say it costs $17 billion to develop the iPhone, right? It can be yours for $999. It just sounds different. I'm just saying. I'm not saying it changes your mind. I'm just saying it shapes things, right? So if the gap is small, that change will be enough. And if the gap is big, it won't matter. Okay, so the bag is there or the folder is there, and people are going to go to that folder. So what's in that bag? Right? I think we can all agree that premise. People go to a bag somewhat when they don't know what to do. Now, some people have a little bit better, well, I try to consider things and so forth, but really all that can mean is they got a different bag, right? Maybe it's a more considered bag. I agree, right? Maybe they have a go-to bag that they really do have. I'm not saying that they're lying about it, but to say I think more when I don't know what to do, unless you've got something very specific, like basically a system of shortcuts, which is what we have. That is what we have, right? Then you're going to default to either a bag or maybe another bag. But either way, it's a bag or a folder. Like one way or the other, unless you have a whole organized system, which God bless, if you do, share it and let me go through it and let me harvest it for good heuristics that we would then easily plug in. All the time, David and I would learn parts from other people. We learned phonetic free from Darwin, and then we integrated it, right? And fantastic, right? There you go. Part of what we want to do is be able to accommodate and assimilate science, especially hard-won science, whenever we can, to things because it makes our life easier. Because then it can become part of the shortcut. Now, it's not just that we have shortcuts. Of course, we focus. We have hierarchy of how we do it and timing and so forth, and try to give you a sense of things. But what I want to do is just start by you really wanting shortcuts. Of course, I've been talking about some shortcuts, explaining some shortcuts on the first show. Smitty talked about peacocking. Right before this episode, we were talking about a photo shoot that Nikki, who's sort of the Smitty of OMG, is kind of the coach of OMG and the kind of leader of OMG, and brilliant designer and SEO and whatever. He does a lot for us over in OMG. But anyways, he's working on some design stuff for a website and working on making it look great, crisp, beautiful, breathtaking, right? Professional, but edgy, right? And so we were working on it. And that's like Smitty was saying, peacocking in relationship advice, and you're meeting new people, then what you get across to those people by how you look can set things up for a smooth arc. And that, with these guys' websites, for example, that's what we want to do. For setting up a website for a business owner, for like an agency, right? Then we want that agency owner looking tip top on that site and the system surrounding them. It's a shortcut, right? In the same way, that agency owner is going to help an electrician or AC repair guy, right, have his own website and his own, presence looking good, looking sharp, and know how to do that and so forth. And so he gets things off on the right foot. And anyways, this isn't necessarily a business webinar, although we do have a little bit of a business aspect with Magic Secrets. I do think it's one of the draws of it. We can often use business examples as examples of shortcuts to help us get shortcuts down better for Magic and for how to use it. It's one thing to know a shortcut, it's another thing to integrate that shortcut and be used to that, right? Be used to that. Part of the enjoyment that you get from integration is that a year later you're going to know it better and you're going to have the fruits of it better. You're going to have culture around it better. It's all the more reason to get started now. So where does this bag come from? Now, I had a lot of good fortune with this. Okay. So I met a lot of writers when I was a little kid, and my dad helped design the file server for Novell. So that's like the kind of precursor in the 1980s, kind of the precursor to the internet. So computers always kind of talk to each other. And then my mom kind of constantly got me introduced where I was able to talk to writers about their writing and which I wanted to. And a lot of them I had read their books, and then I'd meet them and talk to them. And I'm telling you, what I came away with the impression was I like these people to begin with. Let me just tell you this. In almost every case, I was like, man, this is so cool. And it's not It's not that I walked away like, oh man, these people stink. It's not that. But there was something I sort of realized, like a physics, is if you're going to be a writer, you gotta write. Okay. And you gotta write with some sort of an audience. Okay. It's gotta happen. So I realized that. And if you think it through, there's only so many hours in a day, right? So if you're doing that, you're necessarily doing less things in the rest of your life. So that person is going to have one less slot in life for things that they could be adept at. Maybe they can't cook as much, or maybe some subtask with a different type of job that they do, or something. There's going to be something's got to give. Now, of course, you can sort of have synergies and so forth. You'd be like, well, I'm a writer and that gave me exposure, like John Grisham. He writes about lawyers. Man, I would love his Rolodex. Can you imagine? Like John Grisham, if you wanted to know anything about the law, I'm sure he just has exposure up and down the legal spectrum. But could he argue a case for me? I mean, probably not. He's probably nowhere near even square one with that. Seriously, he's probably nowhere near. Like he could be vital to helping someone. I'm sure he would do better than a layman, right? But if you really needed somebody, like probably you just need a competent lawyer compared to John Grisham, who has all that exposure, right? Like yet his Rolodex would be just mind bending. And he's a guy who wrote what's he written that people would know? Lincoln Lawyer was on Netflix recently, so that's big from him. But he's got a ton of books. He did The Firm back all the way back in the day, which was a huge hit for Tom Cruise and helped set up his career and so forth. Not that it was like profound; it was a nice hit for him. And then what Matthew McConaughey kind of started his career with one of them. Time to Kill. I have no idea what it was called. I truly don't. I don't think it was called Time to Kill. But some John Grisham movie. So, anyways, so these writers, I would meet these writers. I would get to talk to them, and they would give me their ideas about writing, and it was great and all. But I realized they just had to spend time on this, and so they weren't doing something else with their life. And so if you think about it, and the thing about writing is, it is, like I said, the thing with John Grisham, you might meet people and so forth, but otherwise it's a little bit of an isolated skill, right? Like even if you're a novel writer, you can't even necessarily write captions for social media that well, necessarily. You might be killed, right? But I would not be so arrogant and I wouldn't just hand my phone to John Grisham and say, caption this or that, right? On various topics. I mean, that's just crazy, because he himself doesn't just write about anything. He writes about he writes these legal thrillers, right? About, some lawyer who discovers that the Supreme Court is rigged, or I don't know, like something like that, or some big thing about a lawsuit, some class action lawsuit for billions of dollars. And he discovers that it's all run by the Nazis or whatever. He doesn't necessarily do that, but something like that. There's some sort of plot twist. Okay, so anyways, these writers, that's where they're coming from, and then they got to research the topic that they're writing on to some degree, right? If they're going to write about firefighters, if they're going to write about Amsterdam, right? And base a book in Amsterdam, there's going to be some exposure to Amsterdam, depending on what depth that they're going to go to it, how they're going to get into it, and so forth. When Rawlings wrote Harry Potter, right? For sure, she got some depth into the world of wizardry some way. She had some way to kind of really create a whole mental architecture. No doubt she had painstaking notes and so on for her world crafting and so forth, for a book to kind of keep things cohesive. Oh, what do the Weasleys think about this? And what does Hermione think about that? What's Harry Potter? When did Harry Potter's dad know this? And so on. Just to keep things cohesive, to make writing more of a pleasure and to make it more valuable. So So they have to kind of create this kind of castle in their mind. But I really want you to see how it's great. It's great. I love the stories that come out. They're so cool. Okay. I dabble with some story writing myself. I do some storytelling with my marketing. I myself am definitely susceptible to the things I'm talking about right now in some ways. Because you can't do other things in life necessarily unless you have some other breakthrough. Okay. So my point is these writers, and I spent a lot of time in Hollywood. I met some writers in Hollywood. A lot of them are struggling. Just I'm a personal trainer, okay, and I've got and I'm talking about serious people who have scripts out that are really not just maybe a personal trainer at a top gym, but he's seriously got real investors looking at his scripts. He's trying to make it happen. He cares about this, right? And by the way, not as good of a personal trainer as the guy who's just really focused on personal training. I'll tell you. And I had that experience. Seriously, just didn't hire him that much more. But you see it. And I saw a lot of that in Hollywood, people trying to make it. And that's a lot of, what you're getting. And again, out of Hollywood and out of the writing world, you can get what you get out of it. And a lot of us watch shows. I watch shows, love a lot of them. Seriously, I want that to be part of Magic Secrets here and there, talking about shows and stuff like that. Dota has a show, Defense Against the Nation. So I'll a little bit wrap things up by showing a little bit about Shortcut there. Anyways, I want you to just consider though that, like for example, David Mills. I have this hard-won science. A lot of people don't know this. I'm sharing this right now. David and I paid Jordan Belfort $75,000. We were a check to him for $75,000, wire transfer probably. David sent it to Jordan for him to speak. We had an event at the Orange County Convention Center. This is not long after his movie came out, which is based on his book Wolf of Wall Street, and he trained our people. We had I don't know 500 or 700 or whatever it was people at the Orange County Convention Center, and he taught our people about sales and sales funnels, what he calls straight line, which he represents. Interestingly enough, I want to point out that Jordan himself represents marketing and sales, like very much about time and a journey, right? Because he's thinking about taking a straight line and trying to shorten a journey. Anyways, interesting point about that. So Jordan, we paid him $75,000 to train people at this event, and he said when he was training people, he ran into a lot of trouble. And he said that a lot of trouble he ran into, like a lot of legal trouble during his Wolf of Wall Street days, he attributed to a hero worship of Michael Douglas from the movie Wall Street. He became known as the Wolf of Wall Street, but he just idolized. It was a big movie in the 1980s. It was Wall Street with Michael Douglas and Daryl Hannah, who was a big. She was the Sydney Sweeney of the time, and Charlie Sheen was in it. And it was this movie about big corruption and billions of dollars in Wall Street and stuff that goes on there. And he said he watched that and it really amazed him and he said he literally said it on the stage. Greed is good. Michael Douglas said greed is good, and he thought, oh, greed is good. Sounds great. Let's go. And so, what does he mean? What does Jordan mean? It means that Jordan hit various crossroads when he didn't know what to do in a situation, and he would turn to his bag, and what was in the bag? Well, he had watched that movie a bunch of times, and so greed is good. Would you grab that and he'd throw it out there, okay? And now it's deployed as a supposed shortcut. Now, this is not a real shortcut, right? This is throwing a template into a situation, seeing what happens. And he was happy enough with the thing, so that became his system, okay? And it metastasized, right? Hardened. And this is what goes on. And this is not, I am not trying to moralize to writers when I'm saying this, okay? It's the last thing I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to moralize to you. Like morality has to do, like to understand morality, like I'm trying to strategize with you. I'm trying to say, if you want the better result, you got to make the better decision, right? That's what shortcuts are about. And so to really get present to where, like when we're just getting our ideas from a teacher, okay, teachers are paid to to tell you to do what basically to keep getting paid, right, by the government that's from tax money. And it is what it is, right? So you're going to get, for example, not good business advice from most teachers. Even at the Ivy League level, though, at this point, they're not us. They're not necessarily. I mean, maybe they somehow figured out a way to get more and more. And I hear here and there, right, of guest speakers at Harvard and stuff like that, and that's great. But those are guest speakers, right? And are those guest speakers really incentivized to go over the shoulder with you and share the way we've done? I mean, again, because David and I have had such an effect. I mean, we've helped so many people. Like, we built this OMG mastermind, and we helped over 1,000 people have massive success, driving Rolls Royces, Ferraris, Lamborghinis, Bentleys. Been there. I've been in there. G wagons. You name it. Nice houses and so on. Through getting good at digital marketing, through helping people. So we have a really, really good sense of this. I'm not just bloviating. So when people turn to what's there now, our idea is that over time, when you turn, what's there is magic secrets, law of implication, right? Like your system, right? Because we all run into, I don't know, what do I do, right? And then how do I take this apart? But I want to help you see that by default, and this would be, I mean, like, I know very little about gardening, right? I could help very little with it. So if I turn here, it's like very few examples. I know a few plant names. I know a little bit about weeding. I don't know much, I mean, a few things, right? Compared to my grandfather. My grandfather, grew crops. My grandfather, was a farmer in addition to a bookseller. So he had a whole another level of sophistication, right? And then there are farmers that had much greater sophistication than him, that built whole big mega farms and that he would probably buy products from and so forth. And that was their sophistication when it came to that. So when it comes to this strategy stuff, and there are times, like I said, when we can really turn and find good answers for something. Like when it comes to electricians, I think that they have a lot of things down. When it comes to HVAC, heating and air conditioning, I think they have a lot of things down. But there are places where there's not as much insight as to how to fix things, right? Digital marketing is one of those things. Magic is another one of those things. So I want to note and just walk through this, is that not only are we getting ideas very much from these attractively presented characters in movies, okay, and shows and stuff, books and so on, and media and news, right? Certainly, there were times I was looking through when the number one job that people would think that they wanted to be was president, but now it's YouTuber. So it's very different, okay? And then a lot of times it would be like athlete or something like that, right? So there's different forces tugging at us, right? If we want to be an athlete, that's a certain tug, right? Not saying it's in this overriding tug, but it's some amount of tug, right? And in certain situations, it's a very strong tug, right? In certain scenarios. So just being aware, like, hey, like, why do we need shortcuts? Because otherwise, we are basically relying on writers and what they came up with and how that got presented to us, however that occurred for us, right? Whatever the circumstance, whoever introduced us to us, whatever phase of life we were in when we heard it, whatever, how much we were paying attention to it. Whatever. We had a friend that really liked it, didn't like it, can influence things and so forth. And it's not just that, of course. You say, well, parents, right? But where your parents getting stuff from you, right? Their parents, yeah, but a lot of it they're also getting hit by their media. And I agree, it's your family too. That's fine, but it doesn't substantially change that when you're looking in there. It's a bit of a hodgepodge. Now, if someone like Smitty was trying to say about Kyle Rose, Kyle was one of my proteges in Tonga Nation, one of the people I really brought along, and he was very talented to begin with. And that was a great person to go to for advice about that type of thing at that time. That is like a one-stop shop if you can get it at the right time, but that's not the type of thing that most people have access to, right? So it's a great shortcut, but in the Magic Secrets world, you know, it's made it sound attractive. It's like, well, where are you going to find a pro to share with you? Well, we got you covered. We got you covered. Okay, I want to do this. I want to show a little bit about Dota because I've been wanting to show about Dota. I admire Dota. Dota is a game, by the way, where it's got a very attractive live pro scene already built out. They do a very good job with it already, much better than Magic, I would say, by leaps and bounds. Much more prize support, much more building of players' brands instead of undermining and so on, especially as a whole. And so I want to, because Dota is something that people like us can play and really play at a pretty good level, not necessarily the pro level, but really like, because with football or something like that, we ain't playing it, right? Pro football, forget it. There's I don't want to, I wouldn't even want to play a game. I know I just blow out my ankle, and I would just be like, well, that was stupid. It's exactly what I would think. And if I got off the field without blowing out my ankle, I would think that was stupid. I might have blown out my ankle. But that's because I know the shortcut in this case. So let me show Dota here for a second and share this. And this is a team that we really follow, Falcons. Falcons has been entirely together since their inception 3 years ago, which is totally unusual in Dota. 5 players, exactly same 5 players, a lot of turnover in Dota. This is Crit right here. He's playing Lion. I don't know how much I can zoom in on him. I don't think I can zoom very well for some reason right now. Let's see, I've got the free camera. So he's playing this guy Lion right here. I don't expect you to see this perfectly, get this perfectly, and so on. I will tell you this is Amar the F, or HEF, who is one of my very favorite players. He's truly awesome. And Malrine will be involved in a second. Crit's a support. He's going to fight Whitman here a little bit, maybe Pure a little bit here. And then I'm just going to show you 30 seconds of what he does, and I'm going to explain it. So he's finishing up fighting with them. I guess he's probably even done fighting with them. You may not see him fight anymore. He stands there for a second, and now at 140, he's going to take off. It's 140 up here. Okay, this guy's going to talk. Don't worry about him talking. So here he's going. He's not really going to do anything much. He's going to come up here and he's going to grab this rune. And right now, Malrine is going up to grab this rune. So they just grabbed these runes. Okay. That's all I wanted to show you. Now, overtly, they weren't shooting anything. They weren't killing anything. They both walked a long way. What they did just freaking screwed the other team. Okay. And it will have ripple effects and ripple effects throughout the next few minutes. And it will continue to have. Now, they didn't know that in this particular case, that this shortcut that they know to do, this is a very typical, like, one of the things that Falcons do is they cut water runes all the time. Okay. Because water runes are a vital source of mana and a little bit of life at the beginning parts of the game. It has an outsized importance, especially the 2-minute water rune. Okay. I'm not going to tell you to memorize, nor do I expect you to memorize a bunch of Dota shortcuts. Hardly any. Okay. I could cover one more at some point down the road that David brought up that Skeeter did on a different episode that was recently. It was so freaking smart. But they have these shortcuts, and they're very systematic with it. And it's really funny because this guy here thought of the same thing a few seconds later. He was just off on a shortcut. And so we wound up doing is following him all the way up here and then going back and gaining no value whatsoever from his time. No value. He could have gone stacked a camp, stacked a creep camp, could have done something, could have harassed HEF in lane, but instead he just walks all the way up here, really doesn't want to fight with them, and so they just wind up just walking back. So all they do is walk up and walk back. But it sets a chain reaction where they cut both water runes. Now they both, this guy has more mana and not that it really matters. He was going to come back with mana, but really they cut the water rune so the other mid wouldn't be able to get one of them. So the other team's mid wouldn't be able to get one. Right up here where the mid battle is. He'll come back here in a second. And it won't be there. It won't be available for him. And that totally screws them. And so my point is, I just scrub ahead a few seconds here. Then obviously he'll be back. It's right here. Malrine, Skitter. And then right here is for a second here. Who's a BZM is who is their mid? I guess Tinker. Okay. And Tinker really needs mana. And now here he is, short on mana, half down mana, and it causes all kinds of problems to him. Anyways, I don't expect you to understand a lot about Dota from that. One tiny introduction. We really love Falcons. We really love the way they play. They play based on fundamentals. They play based on a lot of the kind of, because there's shortcuts and there's kind of meta shortcuts in cases, is one way of looking at it, or sort of deeper shortcuts. Anyways, one of the things that they do that we also do is fundamentals based. So they really try to stick to a lot of the same designs and hone and refine those designs, stick to the same people, hone and refine those people, build those people up. That's the way that they like to do things. It's the way David and I like to do things as well. Get really good continuity, and just excellence. People really get good at what they do, and they get good. They get used to winning. And it's very, very helpful. So I wanted to, they go on to win this, and it really wound up being quite key in this game 2 matchup. Again, kind of a small, obscure thing to kind of point to. And again, the other team kind of thought of it. They kind of got around to it, but no, Crit was on the clock and well ahead of the other guy, not even close, right? Several seconds ahead of him. And then, wound up with a big game from him. Okay. So that's, that's kind of a sense of things from a standpoint of I think that really gets into it. Somehow I think that really peels back the layers, and of course I led off with that really, really fun deck. Probably next week I'll talk more about the origins of it. It came from a zombie deck that I previously built, champion of something or other. If you look up champion of zombie MTG, it'll pop up. And it's, one black for a zombie that gets bigger and bigger with every zombie you cast. And so when I saw Valley Nightcaller, I was like, man, that's an exciting card. There's a shortcut built on a previous deck where we'd really seen the outsized performance. Let me just do this. Let me wrap up the show a little bit more nicely this way. Let me jump to go to webinar. Sharing. Oops. And go to Magic. Check. Okay. So let me see where the champion guy is. So just so you can see him, champion of zombie MTG. Let's see what comes up. Yeah, here he is. Champion of the Perished. Okay. So he's a 1/1. And he gets +1/+1 every time he casts a zombie, and he's a zombie. That's it. Okay. And so what happened was he was explosive, and that the zombie deck was explosive, and kind of similar to this deck. It had a little bit of counter magic, and counter spell disruption, and then a lot of big bodies and beatdown. Kind of really similar. And so I knew to really test Valley Nightcaller, because he might be a semi-soft lock. Like if he could be a semi-soft lock, now you often don't cast in turn 1. It's not even necessarily ideal to cast in turn 1. You're often better off casting an elf or a pollinator turn 1. But he and his Mockingbird friends and his Drewski friends get way out of hand in this deck, and it's a semi-soft block, and you can really organize it. And when these semi-soft blocks hit, the semi-soft block is a type of shortcut we're going to talk about later in Magic Secrets. When these semi-soft blocks hit, we really go off. We can really build around it, like we discussed with Sponsored Resources earlier. So that, yeah, that helps wrap things up a little bit better. Let me talk just a little bit with Jeremy Lawrence and Bryn, and then I'll wrap the episode. Do you guys have any feedback? And you really may not. I really have no idea whether you do or not.
Oh, yeah,
This
for
is
sure.
great. Yeah.
You thought it was great. That's the feedback. All right, good. Anything
No,
else?
No, I'm
just
saying I didn't want to cut off friend. The shortcut
no,
thing,
no.
like I've
Go
been
ahead,
watching.
go ahead.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Jeremy, go ahead.
the shortcut thing, like is really hitting for me. I've been watching the other replays for it. Um, and I think I kind of been in
Did
a
it help to
culture.
do another episode where I didn't just go on to the next chapter? Isn't that interesting? That's another shortcut from David. Is that when you nail
Yeah,
something, you really nail it a few times, not forever, right? And
yeah,
you
for
really try
sure.
to look, is there another way I can do this? I didn't say the same thing this episode. I really thought I brought some differences this time. Go ahead, Jeremy.
Yeah, for sure. I think hitting it on the nail a couple times really it works for me. Um, and I really like the shortcut, the culture of it. Like use them more because like growing up here in New York in the city, it's like you kind of look for shortcuts a lot.
Yeah,
Just with like so much things going on, you don't want to get too distracted. You will get
yeah,
distracted, so
yeah,
you got to look for shortcuts.
yeah.
And
I like that.
I'm starting to think about where can I use more of it. You
Yeah.
know, I don't for
And you'll
sure. Yeah,
convey it to your clients, right? This culture of shortcuts. You'll convey it around you, your family, your friends. You have friends here.
yeah. Like OMG was my shortcut. Law of
Mhm.
implication was another major shortcut in my life. And then the magic secrets, I'm here for the showcase too.
Yeah, no, I love it.
Like I would have been stuck on gold on Bronx until I hopped in there and started watching videos. Brent helped a lot with the shortcuts, and then I just boom, I was like in mythic. Like I don't know how long was it, Brent? Like a week
10
or so?
days. 10 days, yeah.
10 days,
10 days.
yeah.
Yeah, Bronson Mythic.
Love the shortcuts.
Once you stop banging your head against the wall, you started doing shortcuts, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And that's where these impulses come from. Awesome. Lawrence?
Mostly stunned silence for me.
Oh my gosh, that's
The
unusual.
yeah, the idea of shortcuts is interesting. I've also been going through an older series of David's, the breakthrough stacking consolidation.
Oh, it's so good.
That's what
Oh, that
I
one's
was
so good.
I was telling Brent. It's one of the ones I'm considering adding to the YouTube
Of course, Adam. Yeah, of
first. Yeah, that seems
course,
like
please. Yeah, I
reasonable.
mean, we really want all of them on the YouTube. May as well.
Okay,
So
sweet.
it's just a question of how you want to organize it and how you want to roll it out. And of course, we want some degree of organization and we know we can pull some of the transcripts. I guess YouTube transcribes things too. I don't know exactly all how it works, but
Hmm.
just some amount of, I don't know, and also just some amount of like structure for people helps us a little bit. Not too much, but some. Anyways,
Yeah,
go ahead.
it's a bit holographic because by going through that, I'm getting a sense of like poking around and like, okay, how do I want to add things to YouTube? Getting a better sense of what law of implication covers, and then the things that are already on there, and kind of like what could be on there. So like it's all kind of like building on itself.
That's
But
really cool. Yeah,
tying it back to
breakthrough section is
shortcuts,
so good. Yeah, maybe we'll find a way to do a revival around that. Associated with this somehow. Brent.
Yeah, based on what Lawrence is saying about the series he's been going through, we talked about it last week on Sunday for, I don't know, 3 hours, 4 hours ish. Lawrence and I had a call, and I've been using it more and more, and it's very nice, like poking around even like for alternatives and to take those into account and to build on those.
Let me tell you something else. At least once, at least with the show Entourage, back in the early, and you guys should watch one episode of it, just the first is fine. And you'll get a sense. I don't even think it's that long. It's probably like 20 minutes. If that. And so it's on HBO, and I just knew it's not when I saw it, it's when I saw someone else seeing it. Okay. Oh, there was one other time. There was one other time. Okay. Yeah. So with Entourage was one thing, and another time was, and I'll explain what I mean. I was at Project Hollywood, which if you've ever read Neil Strauss's book, The Game, that's what the name of it, The Game. Then it was Project Hollywood, a house in uh, wherever it was, West Hollywood. It's almost a character in the book. Anyways, I was there right around the writing of the book, and I saw a guy. His name is Owen now. At the time, he was really out of shape. He really didn't look good, and he was broken out, which in a way that is just nobody wants it. I'm not going to try to highlight, make a big deal out of it. He's dressed like Brad Pitt from Fight Club, like it was Halloween, but it wasn't Halloween. And he's staying in the middle of this mansion, and he's surrounded by grown men, many of them in collared shirts and stuff. And when they got their arms around their knees, like looking up at him like they're in kindergarten. And he's standing on a soapbox, and I'm like, what is this? Like, why are a bunch of grown men around like what looks like a young 20-something kind of fatter kid with pimply broken out, and just rapture listening to him talk about how to get women? Right? How could this be? Right? So both of those things, when I saw them, when I saw Yannick Silver seeing Entourage and saw the glimmer in his eye, right? Ding, 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 right? And then when I saw these grown men around Tyler Durden, those are both times when I saw something and I knew that it was going to lead to that bag really being populated when it came to that topic for a fair subsection of people. Okay, for a very important subsection of people, for an important group of people. And it would be very important that not all of them would like it, not all of them would appreciate it, but some would like it a lot, and it would really shift the culture. And so I knew that internet marketing affiliate world would really be fixated by Entourage. And in the same way, I saw what I saw with grown men, and that which is a lot of what led all the way back. This is all the way back in 2003 when I saw those guys, or 2004 when I saw all those guys with Tyler Durden and with whatever it was, Entourage was maybe, I don't know, 2004, 2005. So it's a long time ago. So these same maxims won't necessarily apply. I don't know. I mean, I have some sense of things, but I wouldn't say it as much as I would at the time, and it wasn't necessarily as important in the timing. At the time, it was very important. Those things gave me a very clear idea of what was going to be in the bag and what their expectations were. And if people weren't getting those things, they were going to go somewhere else. You got to understand. Like, if you're not matching, if people want something, they go to the bag and it's not there. I mean, we dominated on YouTube. We just went on YouTube and dominated. As soon as YouTube started, and it was 2007, we built it's still around. We built YouTube channel, millions and millions of views, a bunch of subscribers, built a huge email list off of it, and built a 7-figure business. So it must be right in that way. Like, like it all flowed from me seeing the kid on the box. I was like, okay, that's the starting point, right? If I properly accommodate those people with shortcuts, now we're talking. And I knew that they kind of had a culture of shortcuts for Mystery. Mystery was a big shortcut guy, which is how I knew this. So in the same way with internet marketing. So my point is, I'm trying to give you guys, and like one was a TV show, the other is a book, right? So these really, does follow what I'm saying very much, right? A certain, clarity that there is that folder in many cases. I'm not saying all. In a lot of cases, people know what to do. They already know what to do. They ain't asking you. There's no gap. They're just going to do what they do, and that's that, right? But if they don't know what to do, they're going to do that. So being aware of that and building your worldview around that is very helpful, right? Like having a worldview where you expect that and you know that, and you're including your compassionate, right? Compassionate to yourself for the times when you would do that and it would be silly, right? Um, you know, appreciative of when you did that and you got lucky, right? Sometimes doing it, it's not like you're picking. I mean, these books and movies are sort of on subject matters. They're sort of, I mean, they're mostly intelligible answers. I don't know, to things, I guess, in some cases. I mean, obviously, in a lot of cases, they're really inappropriate, but whatever. So that, but at least they make some sort of sense to people. That's why they do. And they can lead to some, reasonable outcomes sometimes. Just basically not a way to live, not a way to organize your life. And seeing that distinctly, but also understanding like you weren't that way before, so you definitely don't expect yourself to immediately catch up to where you could theoretically be, and don't expect other people to immediately be there. Just be like more about the journey, like being aware of it and being aware of that like journey from you and others being surrounded by the turning to the black box, the empty folder, the template folder, and just grabbing something, right? Versus the idea of building a distinct place, a different bag, right? David's talked about this type of thing, a new identity that's built around shortcuts. Says, okay, and this new identity, I know it's new, it's fledgling, like Jeremy was just talking about being stuck on bronze, and that's very recent to him, being stuck on bronze, right? Now being mythic is a joke to him. Okay, so but that's through a progression of shortcuts and through building like kind of a structure of shortcuts that he's built for himself that he can go to. He can turn to and be like, okay, what's the deck that we play? What are the things that we're going to do around it? Okay, now I'm going to sit down and start playing. Okay, and if I run into problems, I can play and ask Bryn, my friend Lawrence, going to come on the show, right? And then he'll get through it. Talk in the group, oh, I tried this. I got my face bottom, right? Okay, well, we probably need to start playing this. Right? We've said that all the time, right? Smitty was already forecasting. Oh, maybe we're going to want Smitty to keep his talent because we can crush people who then keep his talent with his deck. Maybe we want to do. Okay, great. So great, great in that way, and great because that's really distinct, right? When we say, well, I don't want to just have one bag, right? And of course, guys, you are still. I don't mean just go into a spiral every time you don't know what to do, or be like, oh, I am going to be Mr. Magic Secrets. I'm going to be Mr. Law of Invocation and figure everything out right now. You may not have time. You may not be important enough. The black box that's in front of you at a given time. You may not be ready, right? You may not know what the shortcut is, yet, right? There's often a shortcut, or a few shortcuts that work together, but sometimes they need to be built. Sometimes it's too late. I used to call David in certain situations and say, hey, I want some brilliance on demand. And I started realizing in a lot of cases I was calling him too late in the process before, when things are already jacked up. And instead I started, getting his help earlier and then working much better in that way. Okay, great. Yeah, we went a whole extra hour, but somehow, we're on this topic of Magic Secrets. And I really wanted to break through, like with this particular episode, I feel like we really got to kind of a breakthrough with kind of seeing what we're up against much more distinctly, right? Whereas instead of just having, yes, we're still going to have that, bunch of templates and memories and whatever to pull from, and we should, right? But more and more, we can really turn fully to Magic Secrets, to Law of Implication, to a real structured set of shortcuts, and be kind of in progress on those shortcuts at all time, really, right? Is more the way we really want to be. That, that's more, it winds more towards that. As we can. Sometimes we're just busy. Sometimes we get hit with a crisis. Sometimes we get blindsided, right? There's a bunch of stuff that didn't get set up with shortcuts in your own life before now, and there's a bunch of luck that you would have run into anyways, right? So there's, don't worry about it, right? And you won't be perfect with shortcuts from the beginning, and shortcuts aren't perfect, right? We do shortcuts when we don't know the perfect thing. When we know the perfect thing, we just say, hey, this is the perfect thing. It's not even a shortcut, it's the perfect thing. Right? So far as I know, if you have an infection, and it's serious, some kind of penicillin derivative, do it, knock it out. right? For example. And if there's something that's equal or better, great. But if someone I care about was, let's say incapacitated, so they can't choose, it's up to me, give them penicillin or not. They have a bad infection, penicillin, or something that is along that lines. It's maybe a little. I know there's amoxicillin and so forth, but something like that. Okay, so that's the type of thing. Sometimes there's just the answer, right, or a very, 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 very clear answer. But sometimes more gray area. That's what we have these heuristics for you and so forth. And then there are some things that should be very, very clear to you that may not be yet, like personal property and so forth. We'll get into that, and you'll understand it become much, much stronger as time goes on. Right? Amazing episode. I appreciate this. We really, I know I kind of wound a lot into it, but I thought it was great. Good job. Good. Thanks, Jeremy, as well. And great
Sure.
committee did a great job. And thank you to DJ Freeman and to Tokyo Gary and Adam and all the guys in the group that were part of it. So many more that we're really appreciative of, including the guys that are in and out of the group. Appreciate you guys all, and of course our beautiful listeners. More and more have some great stuff to read, you guys. All right, God bless. Have a great episode. I didn't do the Lord's Prayer at the beginning, so at the end I'll just say. I hope you guys are all blessed. God bless.